Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
So get this, I've been living in this neighborhood for a while now, and let me tell you, it's been pretty chill. We've got this thing called an HOA, but it's not your typical pain in the ass kind. Nah, our HOA only deals with the common areas and that green strip along the road. Everything else, it's fair game. I remember the day this new lady moved in. Man, she was a piece of work. Classic Karen type, clipboard in hand, nose in the air, acting like she owned the place before her boxes were even unpacked. I was in my driveway, elbow deep in my Subaru's engine. Damn head gaskets, am I right? When I saw her marching down the street. Now, I'm not exactly what you'd call a looker. I'm pushing 50, got a beer gut that'd make Homer Simpson proud, and my hair decided to pack up and leave years ago. But I've always believed in being neighborly, so I figured I'd go say hi. As I walked over, I could see her scribbling away on that clipboard like her life depended on it. She was eyeing every house, every lawn, probably making a list of all the violations she thought she saw. Little did she know she was in for a rude awakening. "Hey there," I called out, wiping my greasy hands on my already stained t-shirt. "Welcome to the neighborhood." She looked up, and I swear the look on her face was priceless. It was like she'd just seen a grease-covered Sasquatch emerge from the wilderness. I tuck out my hand for a shake, and she recoiled faster than a cat from a cucumber. "I'm just taking notes for the next HOA meeting," she said, trying to regain her composure. There seemed to be quite a few issues that need addressing. I couldn't help but chuckle. "Oh yeah, like what?" She started rattling off a list. The Johnson's house painted in Denver Broncos colors, orange with blue awnings, Old Man Pete's wildflower garden that looked more like a jungle, and don't even get her started on the Thompsons' 12-foot fence that went right up to the sidewalk. "Well," I said, leaning against her pristine white picket fence, probably the only one in the whole neighborhood, "I hate to break it to you, but none of that stuff is against the rules here." Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds flat. "What do you mean? This is an HOA community, isn't it?" "Sure is," I nodded. "But our HOA only deals with the common areas. Everything else, it's up to the homeowners." She looked like she'd just bitten into a lemon. That's not how HOAs work," I shrugged. "It is here. We like it that way, keeps things interesting, Well, let me tell you, she was not happy. Not one bit. She stormed off, muttering something about property values and neighborhood standards. I just went back to my Subaru, grinning to myself. Over the next few weeks, it was like watching a one-woman crusade against personal freedom. She went to every HOA meeting. We only have them once a month, and half the time it's just an excuse for a neighborhood barbecue. Armed with her clipboard and a list of demands longer than my arm. At the first meeting, she stood up and started reading off her list of violations. The looks on everyone's faces were priceless. Some people were trying not to laugh. Others were just confused. Our HOA president, Bob, great guy, makes a mean potato salad. Let her finish before he cleared his throat. "Ma'am," he said, in that calm way of his, "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but as I'm sure your neighbor explained," here he nodded at me, "our HOA doesn't have jurisdiction over individual properties. We're just here to maintain the common areas and organize community events." She wasn't having it. "But what about property values? What about neighborhood aesthetics?" Old Mrs. Johnson, who's lived here longer than anyone, piped up. "Honey, if you wanted cookie-cutter houses and perfectly manicured lawns, you should have moved to one of those gated communities. We like our neighborhood just the way it is." There was a chorus of agreement from around the room. Karen, I never did learn her real name, so that's what I'm calling her, looked like she was about to explode. The second meeting went pretty much the same way. She came with a whole new list of complaints and even some suggestions for new rules. No cars parked on the street, no visible trash cans, no unusual paint colors. Each one was shot down faster than she could say property values. By the third meeting, you could tell she was getting desperate. She'd brought printouts of HOA guidelines from other neighborhoods, trying to convince everyone that this was how things were supposed to be done. But nobody was buying it. "Look," said Mike from down the street, "we've got a good thing going here. Nobody's telling us what color to paint our houses or what kind of flowers to plant. If you don't like it, maybe this isn't the right neighborhood for you." That was the last straw for Karen. She stormed out of the meeting, slamming the door behind her. We all looked at each other, shrugged, and went back to discussing the upcoming 4th of July barbecue. A week later, there was a for sale sign in front of her house. I can't say I was surprised. Some people just aren't cut out for our kind of neighborhood. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like we're living in some kind of anarchist commune or anything. We've got basic rules, sure. No loud parties after 11 p.m., clean up after your dogs, that kind of thing. But when it comes to how we want our houses to look, that's our business. Take my next-door neighbor, for example. Guy's a huge John Deere fan, I mean huge. Last year, he painted his entire house John Deere green and yellow. Is it my cup of tea? Nah, but it makes him happy and it's not hurting anyone. Plus, it makes giving directions to my place a whole lot easier. Just look for the giant John Deere house. I'm right next door. Or there's the Thompson family down the street. They've got 6 kids and wanted some privacy, so they put up this massive 12-foot fence around their entire property. Goes right up to the sidewalk. In a normal HOA, that'd never fly. Here, no problem. Their kids have a safe place to play and they're not bothering anyone. And let's not forget about Old Man Pete and his wildflower garden. I use the term garden loosely here. It's more like he decided to let nature take its course in his front yard. But you know what? Come spring, that place is a riot of colors. We've even started seeing more butterflies and bees in the neighborhood. Who's going to complain about that? The thing is, all these little quirks, they give our neighborhood character. Sure, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but for those of us who live here, it's perfect. We're a community of individuals, each adding our own little touch to the place we call home. After Karen left, things went back to normal pretty quick. The house sold to a young couple with a couple of kids. They fit right in. Even painted their front door bright purple within the first month. Nobody batted an eye. You know, sometimes I think about Karen and wonder where she ended up. Probably in one of those neighborhoods where all the houses look the same and you get fined if your grass is half an inch too long. And hey, if that's what makes her happy, more power to her. But me, I'll take my colorful, quirky, sometimes messy neighborhood any day of the week. The way I see it, home isn't just about having a roof over your head. It's about feeling comfortable being yourself and being part of a community that accepts you for who you are. And that's exactly what we've got here. Sure, we might not have the most valuable properties according to some real estate guide. Our lawns might not all look like they belong in a magazine. But you know what we do have? We've got neighbors who look out for each other. We've got block parties where everyone's invited, no matter what color their house is or how tall their fence is. We've got a place where kids can grow up seeing that it's okay to be different, to express yourself, to let your freak flag fly a little bit. And at the end of the day, isn't that worth more than any so-called property value? So here I am, still working on my Subaru. These engines, I swear. Still living next door to a giant John Deere house. Still enjoying the wildflower explosion from Old Man Pete's yard every spring. And you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. To all the Karens out there clutching their clipboards and dreaming of uniform lawns, I say this: there's a place for everyone. If you want rules and regulations, white picket fences and manicured hedges, that's fine. Go find your perfect little cookie-cutter community. But for the rest of us, we'll be here, in our colorful, chaotic, wonderful neighborhood, living life on our own terms. And if you ever find yourself driving down our street, feeling a little lost in the sea of unique houses and unconventional yards, just look for the guy with the greasy hands and the big smile. That'll be me, ready to welcome you to our little slice of freedom. Who knows, you might just decide to stay. Imagine spending the time and money to buy a house and move on for the sole purpose of dictating how your new neighbors can live their lives. And then being so upset that they won't let you that you do it all over again. Person facepalming. The HOA my uncle lives in is similar to this. No power except over the parks, which it owns. There have been a few Karens over the years wanting the HOA to do something. Sorry, the HOA is prohibited by the CC&Rs from making or enforcing rules about that. You'll have to call the police, town, city, fire department, whatever. One Karen even got on the board and wanted to introduce a rule banning pickups and boats. Good luck getting 80% of households to vote for that amendment when 95% of them own one, or both, including every other board member. My wife and I moved into a new neighborhood with an HOA. It's finally getting turned over to the homeowners this month. From the neighbors we've talked to, most seem to not like dealing with HOA rules, and plenty have already broken several. For the first board meeting, we already introduced a new amendment to gut the HOA's ability to do anything other than collect dues and special assessments. I'm fairly hopeful that this'll pass, and I'm running for the board to help shepherd this along.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.